Good afternoon. It is 12:30 on this Election Day Tuesday. Election Day is finally here after talking about it for what seems like months and years. The day is finally upon us. I'm Julie Broughton. This is Take Six. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us this afternoon. Coming up in just a few minutes, we will, of course, have your Election Day forecast. We'll talk about the tropics and Tropical Storm Raphael, which will be moving well off to our west. And we'll also check in with News 6 reporters Mark Lehman and Angie Quezada telling us about voter turnout on Election Day. But first, to talk all things elections is News 6 digital journalist and one of our political experts, Christie Zizo. Christie, happy Election Day to you.
Happy Election Day, Julie.
Christie is a key team member when it comes to putting together everything you see on Click Orlando about all of the elections. She has spent years honing her political expertise, and so that's why she is such a wonderful resource for days like this. And Christie, just to start things out already, we have run into some issues today. A lot of folks waking up wanting to check their voter registration status and where they vote, and the website where they can do that has been having some problems today.
Yes, the state voter registration lookup website has been crashing off and on, which is fun. It's run on VR Systems, which is a company, third party company out of Tallahassee, that has been having some crashing issues back and forth. We saw it on primary night. It also affects county websites, which is why all of our county supervisor of elections who are on VR systems for their public facing websites will be switching to a slimmed down site later tonight to sort of tamp down on traffic issues. That's what the VR says is the problem, is the load of people trying to get into these systems. The traffic has been a bit much for them. So this is, again, these are public facing websites. This is not the system itself. The system itself is fine, according to state officials, according to county officials. I've texted a bunch of people all day. They've been waiting for my call. And they say that, again, your vote will be counted, your vote will be tabulated. That is not a problem. It does not affect anything with that. It's just the public site itself.
Okay, so that is good. Again, to reiterate that this does not affect the counting process. This is just where you're looking up to see, hey, do I go to this church or that church to vote?
Yeah. Again, there are actually other places if you need uh, an alternative. If you go to check your registration on the state site or a county site and you're having some issues, the county sites all seem to be working well. Um, but if you are having a problem, you could go to places like voter 411, vote411.org, or which is the League of Women Voters. There are some other places that you can check this information out if you need it, the draw from the state websites. But you should be okay to find this information. Also, check your voter information card, which you got when you signed up to vote. That'll have your information as well.
So, what I'm hearing, Christy, is that you should keep your voter information card. If you made me produce mine right now, I don't think I could. So I'm wondering if
Me
other
neither.
people. Okay, I feel better now. I feel better. But there are many ways to get that information. And I voted early, but I was driving to work today and drove past a couple different precincts, and it seemed like there were long lines, people out exercising their rights, which is nice to see. And when I was voting early on Sunday, it was a long line. So it seems like we have good turnout for these elections today.
Yeah, turnout is doing very well across the state. It's going up. Uh, Hopefully, that means that people really understand the importance of this election and are doing what they need to do. Check the sample ballots that they got from your state, your county elections office. Do the research ahead of time. Make sure that your vote is an informed vote. Don't just vote because that's what someone else told you to do. Like, don't vote the way someone is telling you. Vote because that's what you feel you want your country to be.
And you have created so many articles and so much content explaining different measures on the ballot to people so they can make that informed decision. Talk about that process that you've gone through of preparing all of this, because these articles have been so helpful as we've all been doing our own research trying to decide how to vote on all these different issues.
Well, I couldn't have done it by myself. We've got a great digital team, so I just want to give them a shout out. They've been fantastic. And also, we've had some help from other people in our newsroom, and they've all pitched in. We've all been trying to get this guide as comprehensive as it can be. And a lot of it is we've gone to election workers, we've gone to the officials, we've gone to lawyers, experts in those fields. If there's a charter amendment that we thought this doesn't make much sense to us, we went and found an expert to explain it to us. And that is how we have gotten most, a lot of the answers that we have on the ballot. We've done surveys with candidates to get their responses on issues that are important to voters. We ask the voters what issues are going to inform your vote this election. And we went to them and said, hey, how would you vote on property insurance bills? How would you vote on Social Security? And we asked those questions and we got those answers. So that has taken a lot of time, uh, and that is hopefully it's been helpful to anybody who's had the chance to check the site out.
And, the polls don't close until 7 o'clock, so there's still a lot of time to vote. So if people are still unsure on some of those things, they can go to the website right now and get a good breakdown and understand exactly what some of these measures mean.
Yep. Clickorlando.com/results 2024. We have articles that break down what each person will see on the ballot according to what county they live in. And that includes charter amendments, the state amendments. We've broken all those down. And we have access to candidate websites. We've done our key race stories and we've written those down as well. And they're all on the website. One thing I do want to remind you, if you get to the poll at 6:55 p.m. tonight, stay in line. They cannot shut the doors on you at 7 o'clock. If you are there at 6:40, 6:50, and you're in line to vote at 7 o'clock, you will be able to vote. So stay in line and make sure that your vote counts.
Absolutely. And I love that you reminded people of that, because I think a lot of times people think they have to be done by 7, but if you are in that line, you get to vote. That is your right. And the polls close.
And
Oh, yes.
if you still have a vote by mail ballot, that has to be into your county elections office by 7 p.m. today. It's not a postmark. You have to have it physically in that office by 7 p.m. So if you still have your vote by mail ballot and you can't get to your county supervisor of elections office, go to your polling place, surrender your vote by mail ballot, and they will give you a regular ballot to vote. If you feel like you're not going to get it done, do that. Just don't wait.
Yeah.
Probably get that done as soon as you can.
Yeah, at first I thought you were going to say if you couldn't get it, call you and you would pick it up. But that's not where it went. You're going to be a little busy today. You're joining us from home because you're coming in later today because you've got a long haul throughout the afternoon and evening hours. As we've been saying, polls close at 7 o'clock, and then we'll have that election coverage. People will be watching returns. Talk about the process of how we get that information online and on TV and kind of sort through all of that for people.
So local elections, we get the information from the county websites. Remember that they have been able to pre-process early voting ballots and any mail ballots that have already come in that have been accepted. So that information goes up on the county websites once the polls close at 7 o'clock. Usually 7:30, we start seeing those numbers roll in. So once those numbers are in and the counties say, hey, all the precincts are in, we've got every ballot counted as far as we are aware, uh, that is when we will look at those races and say, okay, we can declare a winner here, we can declare a winner there. That one might be too close to call. Let's see what the county says. Those are for the county races. For state races, federal races, We get a little bit of an assist from the Associated Press. They've been doing it since 1848, so they know what they're doing. And they use a number of um, a number of data points for their modeling to try and decide if a race can be called. And if they feel that a race can be called early, it's because they believe that the opposing candidate is not going to catch up to the lead candidate.
Okay.
Once that is decided, they will call it. If we see that call come down and we go, we're not ready to do that yet. We will make that decision in house and maybe hold off on that call. But generally speaking, AP will handle state and federal calls. Our biggest thing, of course, is to make sure that whatever we're calling, it's accurate. We don't want to be changing, you know, declaring winners and then having to change that on election night. We will make sure we'd rather be accurate than first.
Yes.
And we will make sure that the voters know when we say a race is called, that person is the winner.
Yes. And we've talked so much about the presidential election, of course, but we have a lot of important local races on the ballot. I know you want to go over some of those real quickly, starting with the Orange County Commissioner seat.
Yeah, 3 Orange County commissioners up, commission seats up for election. We've got Nicole Wilson in District 1, West Orange County. She is in a tight race with Austin Arthur, who is challenging her. This race, back in the primary, went to a runoff because of 2 votes.
Wow.
She won the primary because of 2 votes. So if people tell you that your vote doesn't count, don't listen to them. 2 people made the difference in that race. And now she is in a runoff with Austin Arthur today. Commission District 3 is the center of the county. That's Myra Uribe and Linda Stewart. Myra Uribe is an incumbent. And then in Commission District 5, we have an open race between Kelly Semrad and Steve Leary. And that runs from the east side of the county all the way to the top to Winter Garden. So a lot of people, a lot of area involved in these races. And these are races where we've seen a lot of money from developers. A lot of people, this is very much a developer versus environmental situation with these 3 races.
Yeah.
And it'll be very interesting to see what happens depending on who wins, how it shapes the county commission and how it does things.
Yeah, these local races, I feel like people get so hyped about the presidential election, which of course is important. But these local races, I mean, they shape your neighborhood, your schools, your day-to-day existence in so many ways. So I hope we have good turnout for all of that. And also talking about the Orange County Supervisor of Elections, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. This race is crazy because it was supposed to be a Democratic primary in August. There was a no party affiliate candidate, and she got thrown off the ballot a few days before the primary. So this primary race, got moved to November. So now everybody can vote on it. And so that is going to maybe change the dynamic of who wins. We don't know. But remember that the current supervisor of elections, Glenn Gilzine, who was appointed by Governor DeSantis, he's not running. So we're looking at who will be the next supervisor of elections in Orange County and who will carry on Bill Cowell's legacy, because he was supervisor of elections for 30 years and then he just retired. So this will be a very interesting race. It'll be interesting to see the difference between how Democrats voted in the primary versus how everybody is going to vote, all voters, for the same election.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that one goes. And also, you're keeping an eye on the Lake County Property Appraiser.
This may be my favorite race of the season.
I was not
because
expecting that.
Because it's crazy. So you have the incumbent Lake County property appraiser, Kerry Baker, is a Republican. And he, last election, didn't have an opponent. So at the last minute, he decided to file as a write-in candidate and didn't have an opponent. So he won. And the best part is he got to pocket his qualifying fee, which is thousands of dollars. So he tried to do that again this election, And Mark Jordan, who is the brother of the Lake County tax collector, snuck in at the last minute and put his name in. So the incumbent Lake County property appraiser is not actually named on the ballot. All that's there is a line, and you have to write in his name, and you have to write it correctly. That is crazy. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this race. It's the first time I think we've ever actually had to ask questions about how write-in candidate votes are determined, because it actually really does matter this time.
Yes.
Like usually we just, if somebody writes somebody's name in, it's never many people.
Right.
But this is the first time where it actually matters. And if Kerry Baker wins, he could be the first write-in candidate to ever win an election in Florida. That is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant, accomplishment for the history books to do that. As you're mentioning that, I mean, I think none of us could name a write-in candidate who's won in Florida. So there you go. All right.
Not even Mickey Mouse.
I bet he's probably the closest. I feel like that is, he gets a lot of love, I think. So, he's never pulled it off. He needs to try harder. All right, Christie Zizo, I know you have a long day ahead of you and you'll be heading into work here pretty soon. So we appreciate so much you taking some time out of your day before you come in to talk to us. All this information is so important. So we look forward to your coverage and all that good stuff throughout the day and through the evening.
See you soon, Julie.
All right, bye.
Bye.
We are going to take a short break, but when we get back, we're going to check in with News 6 reporter Mark Lehman and News 6 reporter Angie Quezada and talk about voter turnout today. Angie will introduce us to a voter who is 103 years old, making sure her voice is heard at the polls today. We will also talk about your forecast. All of that is coming up in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Take 6 here at 1249. I'm Julie Broughton. Today, of course, is Election Day, which means polls opened at 7 o'clock this morning, but those poll workers have been at it since well before sunrise, making sure everything goes smoothly. News 6's Mark Lehman joins us now from a precinct on the campus of UCF, where they have seen a steady stream of voters all day.
Orange County election workers have been busy since before sunrise, and voters are responding. More than 60,000 going to precincts since they opened this morning. Can you kind of forecast, based on those numbers, how you think turnout might be today?
Yeah, so I believe strongly that we'll be around 150,000 to 200,000 Orange County voters coming out on Election Day.
Supervisor of Elections Glenn Gilzine says more than half of registered voters have already cast their ballot through early voting and vote by mail. For those who waited, there are a couple things to keep in mind.
One, they must bring a photo ID so they can present to their respective polls. Two, they have to go to their assigned precinct.
At UCF's polling place, extra staff has been added to help students who may have forgotten to change the address on their voter registration.
We know that a large number of those students are not from Orange County, but they're active voters, and they can have the opportunity to update their voter registration right then and there.
The UCF does a good job of keeping things calm here.
Maria Garzone is a first-time voter. She says it was a smooth process for her, but no matter the wait, it's important for everyone's voice to be heard.
There's a big amount of my generation that sometimes doesn't go out to vote, and I think being civically involved and making a difference in your community is super important, and this is the way to do it.
That was News 6 reporter Mark Lehman at UCF for us. And among the thousands of people out casting their ballots today is Lily Mae King Harper. She is 103 years old. News 6's Angie Quezada was with her as she was on her way to cast her vote.
A journey through 10 decades of voting rights, one 103-year-old woman makes it her civil duty to keep her voice alive. At 103, Lily Mae King Harper walked through the doors of her local polling station Tuesday morning at Precinct 205 in Apopka, stepping into the booth with a quiet pride and determination that has carried her through over a century of change.
Yeah, I feel good.
Ms. Harper, an African-American woman from Plymouth, Florida, cast her vote in the 2024 presidential election, a powerful testament to resilience, progress, and the unbreakable bond she shares with the democratic right she first exercised when Obama ran for office. Why is it so important to come out and let your voice be heard?
It's just, and it's just important. I just love to do it. I like to do it.
Born in 1921 in the Deep South, Harper grew up in an era when racial segregation was the law of the land and voting rights for African Americans were almost non-existent.
Oh, yes. Seen a lot.
She vividly remembers the hardships of Jim Crow and how they once could only dream of having a say in the nation's future. At one point in time, you probably didn't have the opportunity to vote.
No, ma'am, I sure didn't.
Over the years, she has been a silent witness to history. The Civil Rights Movement, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the election of the first black president, and now a diverse array of candidates running for the highest office in the land. Mary Harper, her daughter, says her mother's an inspiration.
It should be encouraging to the other ones, the young people. Come out and vote. Make it count.
As she took her ballot on Tuesday, her voice, though soft, held an unmistakable power as she spoke the importance of showing up, a message to all.
I tell them to come on and vote.
In an election that promises to shape America's future, Ms. Harper remains a powerful symbol of the past that should not be forgotten. And at present, at 103, her vote still matters. In Apopka, Angie Quezada, Getting Results, News 6.
What an incredible story and a great message. And again, the polls are open until 7 o'clock today, so make sure you get out. Now, if you are heading out, we are keeping some isolated showers in the forecast, so make sure you keep your umbrella with you. We'll show you the radar in just a moment, but first, here's what's going on in the tropics. We've been talking about Tropical Storm Rafael. It was designated a tropical storm yesterday at 4 o'clock. We'll get a new track coming out at 4 o'clock, but this is the latest information that came out at 10 o'clock this morning. Maximum sustained winds are at 60 miles per hour, so it has strengthened. We still think it will become a hurricane by tomorrow as it moves over the western tip of Cuba into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, as we get farther in the next 120 hours or so, some of the models do begin to spread a little bit, but the general trend does agree that we will keep this west of Florida. So that is good news for us. Also good news for folks who will be dealing with this. It does appear that it will be weakening before it actually makes landfall. So likely they'll be talking about a tropical storm making landfall. Here's what's going on elsewhere in the tropics. You see that area of yellow shaded in the greater Antilles. The National Hurricane Center is watching that area, giving it a 20% chance of further development over the next 7 days. Regardless, we will see our moisture levels beginning to go up tomorrow. Radar right now showing most of us are in pretty good shape with just a few isolated showers. I think as we move through the day, we'll see a few more of those showers developing. So again, you could run into a quick passing downpour as you are heading out to vote, especially if you're waiting outside in line. Just might want to take some rain gear with you. 84 right now in the Villages. It is 82 in Orlando, 82 in Melbourne, and 81 in Palm Coast. But if you've been outside, you know it feels a little more humid, not necessarily feeling so fall-like right now. This is a look at our current heat index values, and it feels like 91 in the Villages, feels like 90 in Cocoa Beach, and feels like 88 degrees if you are in Sanford. Rain chances for today are generally around 30% or less, but again, don't be surprised if you see a few of those showers. Here's a look at the clouds and rain forecast, how our modeling is seeing things going through the day. Again, a very similar setup to what we saw yesterday, with strong winds out of the east, bringing in some of that Atlantic moisture, creating some of those showers that will hold together as they make their way to the west. Even into this evening, I think we could see some pockets of heavier rain in areas like Brevard County, even making it as far inland as downtown Orlando, up toward Apopka as well, before becoming just some light rain moving toward the villages. Here's how it looks for the next 7 days. 84 for our high today, with the rain chances at 30%. It goes up to 50% for tomorrow, then 40% on Thursday. I do think we will see things slightly drier as we head into the weekend, but the normal high this time of year is right around 80. We stay warmer than that every single day in the extended forecast. We will talk much more about your forecast and the tropics for you coming up on News 6 starting at 4. Of course, we will have election coverage all afternoon and all evening. If you have any questions or comments for us here at Take 6, head to clickorlando.com/take6. Let us know what's on your mind. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and I will see you on TV at 4.